Hey guys, Shady here. Today I wanted to make a video on the MC Thea 3. This is going to be a day 1 and day 2 update. I don't have any clips or videos showing day 1, but I do have a code to talk about it. Quickly, I want to show the DPS and where we're at. So for day 1, I actually swapped to MC at level 55. And honestly, it wasn't so bad, but I don't recommend it unless you get to time mark 3 and 4 where you can start dropping a lot of scepters. I've actually heard people dropping scepters at T2, so that's something that you should look forward to and not swap too early. But that's just campaign stuff. As far as day 1 goes, no clips or videos of it, but I do have the code, like I said. Briefly, I just wanted to talk over the gear that I have for day 1. Number one thing that I prioritized buying was this helmet here. With the removal of candles, I figured that it's just best to have 20% additional damage to cursed enemies and take 20% reduced from them. At this point, with the cursed skill area, sorry, your whole screen is basically, your entire screen is, like every monster on your screen is affected by your curse. So at this point, it's really good to have, in my opinion. So I rushed this helmet. They're currently going down in price. On day 1, I bought it for 55, so right now they're like 30, 35. The next thing I want to talk about is the pedigree. This pedigree, to avoid a lot of confusion, or may answer some questions, don't buy bunch. I got it as my traveler quest kill. I figured that instead of spending FE on a different pedigree, I just used what was useful. I got bunch, and if you guys don't know what bunch does, basically gives you +1 focus blessing, and then you get 3% additional spell damage for every 1 stack of focus blessing. The best thing about it is honestly the focus blessing +1. The 3% additional is honestly okay, only because the way Thea 3 works is whenever she gets a +1 blessing, it actually gets consumed, quote unquote, consumed into a desecration stack. So she doesn't even get the +1 essentially, making that 3% additional spell damage kind of useless the more focus blessings you have. I will talk about a different pedigree that I opted into buying for the 5 bill code. The next important thing I want to talk about is your first hero memory slot here. Definitely try to get the purple tier so that you can, when you max it out, you get +1 to trait level. This is important. Also, make sure you get intelligence base, by the way. This is important because by giving your hero trait, your first hero trait another level, you get 5% additional erosion damage per level it gets. So right off the bat, it should be fairly cheap to do. And it gives you 5% additional guaranteed when you level up. And if you have the intelligence base, 70 intelligence is no joke, especially early on. As far as gear, scepters are going to be your biggest priority in terms of damage. So make sure that you guys really focus on that. These are what my scepters look like on day 1. They are not item level 86 or anything like that, so I don't have any tier 1 mods. These are weapons that lasted me quite some time. The next thing are unholy prayers. You can get them from the treasure trove. Ideally, you want to get tenacity or agility blessing and leaving your focus blessings open. The reason being is because focus blessing grant you the most damage out of all the 3 blessings. So by having those and not being consumed, is ideal. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's like maximizing your DPS, right? It's something that if you choose to focus on, that's fine. If not, don't worry about it. Just get any of the blessings. Crafted gear, just affliction effect where you can, and energy shield and intelligence on the belt and the amulet. The rest of the gear is going to be just resistances, really, energy shield and damage, generic damage, right? And then of course boots, you want movement speed. Slates, I found my own slates because I farmed cube a lot, so I didn't buy any of these, honestly. These are what my slates look like. They're not the greatest. The best thing is probably this frail mod. Now, MC cannot inflict frail because it requires a spell to hit. MC cannot apply on hit effects. How am I applying this is through corrosion focus. Corrosion focus because it's a spell and it shoots a projectile that can hit. Now, it can only shoot 1 projectile, so it's very unreliable, but Frost Shield's also a spell and it can hit. If you guys don't know, I like to run God of War a lot, right? It scales, it gives you a ton of AoE. It actually scales the Frost Shield's hitbox around your character. And basically anything near you when you have max stacks of God of War, you will be hit by your Frost Shield, and this will apply Frail. That's if you guys want to use Frail. If not, you're just looking for anything like Affliction Effect, really. A ton of it, actually. They give so many sources of Affliction Effect this season. So it's really good to have. That's really it for the day one. Now, let's talk about the 5 bill. The biggest thing I want to talk about is the boots. Now, I know the boots are very expensive, but this is something that I prioritized, and it's something that I want you to know that you don't have to go for, or there are alternatives and placeholders that you can get before you want to farm for these. And that's going to be your King Boons. I know that they got nerfed, but they're still a pretty decent pair of boots to use, providing lots of damage. And then you got Crafted Boots. Crafted Boots are also, I would say, in a pretty good spot this season. You can roll +1 erosion skill, affliction effect, and of course, decent movement speed. Oh, and a ton of ES. Which both legendary boots don't provide a lot of ES. So that's one thing that I really want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is I do have a triple int false god. I know these cost around 500 FE, or at least to me when I bought it. You don't have to get triple int. You can very much settle with double int, and you'll be fine. The reason why I went for triple int is because this is an investment to me, and I know I don't have to worry about the amulet slot for a while, right? I can basically just ignore this slot and work or prioritize or focus my currency elsewhere, right? For example, weapons. So yeah, so if you can get a triple int, get it. If you can't, don't worry, get yourself a double int and you'll be okay. Weapons, as I've said before, are your biggest DPS increase. So one of the first things I did before I even got the boots were upgrading my scepters. I wanted to be able to run 8 T8s like butter smooth. Best way to do that is by increasing your weapons, right? Or upgrading your weapons, sorry. I managed to hit full T1 on my scepter yesterday on stream. If you're wondering what stat to prioritize as your first T1 mod, it's going to be the +2 to skill erosion. That's the first thing I got on both scepters is +2 to erosion skill level, both. Then you just get what you normally would want, which would be your reap sources, right? And then your affliction effect. Reap duration is something I prioritized last. So if you were to craft your own scepter, get everything else, then reap duration last. I'm still rocking unholy prayers. These will be changed by the next build code, trust me. I'm still rocking the same gloves and belt untouched. And chest. The Agony of Lost Self is a lot cheaper than Twilight Vestment. Provides a lot of damage. It's better than a +3 Phantom Sin, the one that I was wearing in my 1 build code. The only issue is it doesn't really offer much besides the +3. Well, it actually rolls between +1 to +3. At the time of this recording, my current chest will cost you 14 to 15 FE. Very solid chest for pretty cheap. It actually gives you more damage than a Twilight Vestment. The only reason why a Twilight Vestment is ideal here, though, is because of its defensive mechanic, which is energy shield recharge when you reap. It's insane, right? That's a mechanic, a defensive mechanic that's very powerful when mapping. You basically get ES recharge immediately when you reap, which is all the time. As a placeholder, Agony of Lost Self, very strong chest. The next thing I want to talk about is pedigree. I was able to pick up this pedigree for 80 FE. I spent a bit more than what the cheapest ones were going for, because of the 12% affliction effect, the 18% damage. But those are just a premium. And pending is all you want. Basically 30% additional damage within 1.25 seconds when an enemy's in 10 meters of you. Insane value. Yep, you can get them for 30 to 40 FE. really cheap. I will post alternatives in the Google Doc, which I will show at the end of the video. The next thing I want to talk about is subtle impact and what it does for us. So subtle impact states that blur gains an additional effect. So when you have blur, it now has an additional effect, and that is going to be 25% additional damage over time. The thing is blur effect actually scales this additional blur thingy that subtle impact has, right? So where are we getting blur effect? Boots already give us some. It can roll between 5 and 10. Unfortunately, the one I have has 6%, but hey, 6%, we'll take it. The next thing that I have is under the Lich Tree. We have 4.5% here. And then this node works when you seal your life. So it states that we get 0.2% blur effect for every 1% life lost. To check how much life you are reserving, you just go to your skills and then you just click on your auras, and it'll tell you down here that this is how much life I have left, which is 3.5%. So that means that I'm reserving 96 point whatever it is, right? 4%. So, you know, you just do the math, 96 divided by, or times 0.2, whatever, and that's how much blur effect you have. For me, it's roughly, I think, like close to 19 or 20% right now. It's 19.2% blur effect for me. So there, that's a lot of blur effect, right? And so the reason why we want to scale blur effect is, like I said, it actually gives it actually goes towards subtle impact, granting us more additional damage over time. Eventually, with enough blur effect, it'll beat forbidden power, and you also get your 10 elemental resistance back by not using forbidden power, which is just ultimately awesome, right? One thing I forgot to talk about is why these boots, by the way, is not just because of the blur effect, but it's because of stealth stat. You take 25 you take minus 25 additional damage when blur is active. And under the Lich Tree or the Psychic Tree, we have this thing, this node here, where we get 5% chance to gain blur when reaping. Because we reap so often, multiple times in a second, we always have blur, right? So that means that basically permanently we're taking minus 25% additional damage. These boots are insane for survivability. Only downside with these boots is they do not offer energy shield, which is unfortunate because they are evasion based. But just being able to take minus 25% additional damage at all times is insane. They do come with generic a decent amount of generic dot damage, which is pretty cool. Decent movement speed. Now, we also get 25% additional damage for 3 seconds after blur ends. And from my testing, I could be wrong, but for my testing, with this node here, the chance to gain blur when reaping considers it being refreshed, so we'll lose it and we'll gain it again. So I believe we're benefiting from the 25% additional damage, because we're technically ending the blur and gaining the blur again when it's when we reap. I could be wrong, but even if that's not the case, I really got these boots because of the minus 25 additional damage. If I wanted to push damage, I would have just went King Boon. King Boon will give you more damage, yes, but at the cost of survivability, right? So I'm gonna leave that choice up to you. I don't think there's anything else. So basically, TLDR on the recap for day 2 is we triple int false god, started to work on T1 scepters, picked up a night stroll or values night stroll, and started scaling blur effect because of subtle impact, and change of pedigree. I'm still using basically the same slates as before. The only different one is this mod, the same one that we saw on our talent tree. You can actually get one on your slate for another, you know, in my case, another 19% blur effect. Oh, the last thing that I want to talk about, shout out to Pokey, is this trick here. where if you were to place, so for me to get this node here, it's going to cost me 4 talent points. But by placing a prism in this middle spot right here, it allows me to allocate this node without even spending the other 3 points, essentially saving you 3 points that you could put elsewhere. In this case, I put 2 of them into this affliction effect here, and then 1 of them somewhere else. I forgot where. Oh, I needed to have 1 more point kept in here for the Goddess of Deception, so I just put it right here for more energy shield. That's about it. Yeah, cool little trick that Pokey showed me. So shout out to Pokey for that. Other than that, chat, I don't know why I called you guys chat, bruh. Other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Quick, Google Doc. In the Google Doc, I have my Twitch, which I'll be streaming every day. YouTube that I will be uploading to, like here, and then my Discord server. I'm always active on there. I have a lot, like the community in my Discord is huge. We're a bunch of MC boys. Feel free to join. Definitely answer some questions there if you have any off stream. Brief summary. I talk about pack spirits, certain ones that I use, and what are some alternatives. Leveling stuff, campaign stuff, build codes. Number one thing, if you guys don't already know, if you go to pro builds and you go to creator and you type in Mr. Broker, you'll see my profile, and by clicking follow, every time that I upload a in-game code, you guys will see it on my profile, like your follower profile. You'll see it. That way you don't have to always look to the guide. But one thing that's beneficial with the Google Doc is that under each code, after day 1, of course, after each code, I leave notes that briefly explains what I did differently from the first code or the previous code. So for example, I have a day 1 code where I talk about what I did. Now the jump to 5 bill, I talk about what I did from 1 bill to 5 bill. Do keep in mind that there will be some things that I'm missing. So if you guys found something that I didn't mention in the notes, please remind me and I'll add into the notes. Last thing I want to talk about is for codes. I like to post codes when I hit a milestone. I don't really want to post codes daily, as that will just generate a ton of, tabs. So I don't want to do that. So for example, at 5 bill, I'm already like thinking in my head, the next code I want to post is at 10 bill. That's a milestone for me. So I'm gonna wait until I get to 10 bill, then I'll post what I did differently to get to 10 bill. Now, if you guys want to see daily codes or daily progression of my gear, the best way to do so is by watching me live on Twitch. I don't have a set schedule because for the last 2 days, my schedule has been messed up due to league start. I'm streaming super late. At least for the US, I'm streaming super late. And I apparently it's EU friendly streams right now. But I will eventually get to fixing that. But yeah, the best way to see current progression of the gear is by just watching me live, and then I will show you my gear and talk about what I'm doing, and you'll see the live updates. Other than that, thank you for watching. Hope to see you guys in Twitch chat. And if you guys support what I do, please hit the subscribe. I appreciate it. Or like the video. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. This season, I'm going to try to push out more content. And yeah, by hitting that subscribe and the likes, it really motivates me. So thank you for that. Take care. Easy.